Middle say. Okay, well there we go. So can you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Lou Panizzon, and Doc Carty and I go way back to 1969 when I got out of the Army. He hired me as a teacher coach at Carpentry High School, and I was always very grateful that he did that because with his mentorship and his guidance, I thought I had a successful career there.
And he had quite a successful
yeah,
career.
and he had quite a successful year. He was 26 years as our superintendent, and after he left, and I had one, two, three, I think four other superintendents after he left. So he was a very important part of my career and really our family's life. We all in the neighborhood. He used to live right across the street.
Where are you?
We're at 5573 Camelina Drive
in Carpentry.
In Carpentry, and he lived right across the street. So I probably have a different take on Dr. Carty from his non-professional part of his life, being in the neighborhood. And he was a very good neighbor. He looked out for the neighborhood, and he enjoyed all the neighbors, and always had something positive going on with us. But one of the things that a lot of people didn't know about him is that he had a real clever sense of humor, and he was a practical joker. And I know that we heard some stories about him when we moved into the house, and the gentleman who owned the house before I did was a real meticulous, neat guy. He was a bachelor, and he had a beautiful yard and a nice, well-kept lawn. And the doc was known on Halloween to put little piles of dirt in several places on the lawn. And so when Roger came out the next morning, he thought he had gophers, and so he would have to dig up where those little piles of dirt were, and then, of course, find that there was no gopher hole. So that was one of the stories I heard. And another one I heard that he took Roger's patio furniture when he was out of town for the weekend and stuck it all on his roof.
On Roger's roof?
On Roger's roof. So, you know, I was ready for some of those things, but you're never ready for a practical joke because you're just not in that frame of mind. But I know that I was very pretty much had a routine that he could observe being across the street when I get up in the morning. So I'd always go out and get my paper, and as I came back to up the driveway, I'd open my garage door. I didn't have a garage door opener then. It had to manually lift it up. Then I'd come in the house. And I remember one Halloween, and I forgot it was Halloween, or it was April Fool's. I don't know which. Probably April Fool's. I started reading my LA Times, and I always started with the sports page, and I always liked to read Jim Murray first. And boy, I said, this sure sounds familiar. I mean, did I read this before, or is he repeating something here? And of course, then I looked at the date line on the paper, and it was yesterday's paper. So he had gotten out there earlier and switched sports pages on me. Another time, I went out and got the paper, came down and lifted the garage door, and my Volkswagen was gone. I had two Volkswagens in the garage, and the one that I drove to school, and Susie had to drive to school, it wasn't there. And so I couldn't believe it because didn't leave the key in it. And if you remember, once you took the key out of a Volkswagen, the wheels were locked, and you couldn't really push it. But somehow he got all the neighborhood boys and some of his sons, I'm sure, and they lifted it up and lifted it up so they could push it and hit it down the street. So I finally found it after a little while and got to school late.
Was he your boss at the time?
He was the superintendent at the time, yeah. So I got to school a little late, and that afternoon we used to have interdistrict mail, and I got a note from the district office that says, Mr. Panizzon, it's very important as a young professional that you get to school on time, and tardiness is not a good sign for doing a good job. And so that's pretty much his way of doing things. And so he had a great sense of humor. I can't tell you, you can't remember jokes that he would say, but he always had a clever way with things. He was very quiet, very pensive in a lot of ways, and when he talked with you. But when he had a sharp way of puns. I think he liked puns and playing with words, and so he was just a good guy. I mean, really a good man to his family and the community. but just a good guy to be around. You know, you're just fun to be there and relax and enjoy him outside the setting of the workplace.
I believe in town he also started and was responsible for a lot of things in addition to the school. Apparently, Carpentry Beautiful. Was it Rotary too?
Well, I think he was in. Yeah, I don't know much about the Rotary Club. I think he was one of the first Rotarians, and he helped start the Noon Rotary Club. But I know he was instrumental in Carpentry Beautiful with working with those folks and did an outstanding job. When he retired, he did a tremendous amount of work on the swimming pool and helped with the landscaping there. I know he helped to fundraise for his church and help build part of the church, and was very active in the Lutheran Church. I can't even tell you all the different things that he did. I know that he was involved in United Way. I know he was a member of the county school board and did an outstanding job there. And for me, he was just a valuable guy I could talk to about issues that come up as a teacher, as a coach, as an administrator. And even after I was retired, I served on the school board, and I had to ask him a few things and get some guidance from him dealing with different issues. So I can't even begin to list all the activities that he was involved in, but every one of those activities, he was a factor in making that organization better. And I think that's what I could say. Everything he was involved in, every school district, and our school district in particular, every organization he was a member of, he made it better. And I think that's about the most complimentary thing I can say about the man.
Okay, well, thanks, Lou, for your thoughts.
Okay, you bet.
We'll turn it off now.